Human rights. Let's talk about human rights here in the United States. Prison industrial complex. Huge violation of human rights. There's a book that was written, came out about 2 years ago, by Michelle Alexander called The New Jim Crow. Has anyone read that?
Nah, but I had seen an interview with him.
You've got to read that book.
I've read excerpts out of it. It's what I saw was great.
It's unbelievable how she shows the history from slavery, the new Jim Crow era, and how today we have more blacks under the control of the criminal justice system than we had under slavery in the late 1800s, in the early 1800s. Now, with the end of slavery, you can no longer enslave people for labor. But do you know we can do that through the criminal justice system? So you just change your strategies. That's what we've done here in this country. Prison population has grown over the past 4 decades. It's gone from under 500,000 to well over 2.3 million people on any day in prison here in the United States. And it continues today. Some people say, yeah, well, we're making those changes. We don't send people to prison anymore for marijuana. Yes, we do.
I know.
We do.
Crazy.
Look a few, maybe north, slightly east, New York City from here. 2010. And I want to say this before I talk about this. Yes, we also arrest a lot of people for marijuana. They don't spend, time in prison, 6 months in prison. They've got all these other programs, and what have you, diversion programs. Just an arrest alone, no prison time, will ruin your life. But wait a minute, that arrest is expunged. There's no record in the courthouse and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. This is a day and age of technology. I also hold in the state of Maryland, actually in Philadelphia here, a private detective license. So when employers want to hire someone, if they've got a job opening and all of you are in the running for that job, they come to somebody like me and say, tell me about these folks. I don't go to your neighborhood. I don't go to your previous employers or to the courthouse to pull your records and your information. I pull out my iPad and I find out anything I want on it. And I will find an arrest, no matter what the courts do with it, because it's already in cyberspace. And once it's in cyberspace, it stays in cyberspace. So if 4 of you have an arrest for marijuana, I'm going to look at the rest of the people. And you'll never know why you were not selected. So an arrest is important. Now let's talk about New York. 1997, New York State passes a law to decriminalize marijuana. It's only an infraction unless you're openly displaying it or smoking it, okay, burning it. Then tell me why in 2010, New York City, not the entire state, just New York City, arrested over 50,000 people for the possession of marijuana.
I think I could answer that. When a cop says, take what's out of your pocket and show it to me, you're most likely going to do it. And then break
You're absolutely correct.
Yep.
That's what the police were doing in New York City. Because people don't realize, two things. Number one, they don't fear the fact that, hey, they're thinking marijuana's decriminalized. I'll pull this weed out, a couple of joints, I'm good.
No, officer, I do not consent to this search.
Thank you very much. That's the second point. Most people don't understand what their rights are. Fourth Amendment rights. That's what was happening. That's why they arrested 50,000 people. 86% of those 50,000 people were people of color, black and Latino. 86%. So, there's an uproar, obviously. And the commissioner, Kelly, says to his law enforcement, you will no longer do that practice. Okay, you will no longer do that and charge these people. 2011 rolls around, they arrest more than they did in 2010. So now there's a big move afoot to change the law, so we could deal with it.
Why more arrests? Just continued usage of the same kind of ideas?
Now here's the point. That was just a tool for law enforcement. It was an easy tool. It was the easiest one available to them to arrest you for marijuana, to stop you, search you under marijuana so that I can look for other things. They were saying, well, it helps us get guns off the street. Very, 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 very small percentage of guns were removed from the street under those tactics. So that's false. When the law is changed, and it eventually will be, so that police can no longer do that and arrest you for marijuana possession, they'll just use another tool. The bottom line is, policing in this country needs a complete 100% overhaul. Complete overhaul. And it begins with things like ending the prohibition of drugs. Segue here just real quick to talk about policing and community as it relates to prohibition. A lot of what you are experiencing here with the Occupy movement and that interaction between police and the movement has to do with our drug policies. Has to do with our drug policy. So how is that? Because it is under our drug policies that the attitudes that police currently have regarding law and order and someone breaking the law for whatever the infraction may be. I'll go over there. That was born through our policies of prohibition. It is our policies of prohibition that have driven a wedge between police and community. Police are so accustomed now to going into communities under the umbrella of drug prohibition to look for drugs, to search you for drugs, to search your cars and your homes for drugs, that it has young people despising the police today. Absolutely despising the police before they even meet a police officer. Because of the stories that are told by their brothers, sisters, friends, relatives. And that's why there's so much friction between police and community today. And we have to figure out a way, along with ending prohibition, because once you end prohibition and once you change some of these other policies that are counterproductive to this relationship, you still have the work of changing the attitudes and changing the culture within policing.